I've gone through like 70 fucking interviews today. What do we got now? A fucking Jason Todd? What the fuck? Fucking, what does he look like, a toad? Alright, bring him in. Jason Todd! Oh, fuck is this? Well, hello.
Hello there, sir.
How you do?
I am doing fine. I'm looking for a job, though.
Well, let's look at your papers. Here is a Jason Todd.
Yes.
5'3".
Yes.
Short ass. Your qualifications are a circus. You used to work in a circus?
True. Yes.
What happened?
My parents died. And I'm very and I don't want to bring that up again. It makes me heartbroken.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate.
So, why do you think you're the man for the job?
Read the shirt.
I'm dyslexic.
Broke as shit, that's why.
Well, I'm rich as shit, so, you know. I forgot, well, that's my problem. But you do know that this is a very special job.
Yes, sir. I understand.
Alright. So, I've interviewed like 70 people today.
Oh, jeez.
A few girls.
Oh.
Some boys. Some transgenders.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. They're pretty spicy. So, I'm looking at you. You're looking at me. I'm interviewing you. And I'm debating. Do I see you as this guy here on the paper?
Yes.
When you did the interview, you did it online, right? Okay. So when it says qualifications, why'd you put small penis?
Thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But, gotta be serious. This is a serious job.
I'm serious. Can you see my face?
I can smell your breath from here. What the fuck do you eat? This shit smells like a raccoon just vomiting up a fish. But I like that. I like it. I like it.
So do I get the job?
How about we do a special program?
Okay.
You'll be my trainee for 2 weeks, and you'll see how you like it.
Done.
Okay? Alright. So what we'll do, I need you to sign right here and here. And what I need you to do before you sign, this is a NDA. You can't disclose any information we do here, or you can't let anything leak about what we do here. Okay?
Sir, yes, sir.
If you do, I'm gonna pop a cap in your ass. Like they do in the hood. And you don't want to know what they do in the hood.
No, sir. Not at all. Not at all.
Precious white boy don't want to know what happens in the hood.
No, not at all.
Okay. So sign here and here. Motherfucker's taking too long. Oh. He messed up his handwriting. Alright. You do one more thing. Since you're now officially a partner here, I need you to do me a favor. This is your first lesson.
Yes, sir.
So I'm dating this girl, and I printed out some dick pics. I need you to examine these dick pics and tell me if they're good. I have like 4 different poses. As you can see, this one is a little curvy. This one has like the brightness on, and this one I decided to put the puppy filter from Snapchat on. I thought it made it a little pretty. What do you think?
They look good to me, sir. They all look good to me.
Alright. And then I made another copy of dick pics.
Jeez, how many different guys?
This one, as you can see, I put bat ears on. I call it my bat dick. You think they look good too?
Yes.
I like you. You want to see my penis?
No.
You got the job.
Yes.
I jerked off about 10 minutes ago with that hand.
Ah!
This is the outfit you'll be wearing as my protege.
What? Just a shirt?
Yes.
You're supposed to be a millionaire. Where's the cape and the mask? I thought I was getting more than this.
No. I'm kind of broke. So you're not actually getting paid for this.
Fuck you.
Put that on, and I'm going to train you to become the best hero.
Yeah!
Hi.
Hello.
How does it feel?
Feels great.
Does it?
Yes.
You feel like a man?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So your first training protocol. You see Gotham out there?
Yes.
There's a lot of people out there need to be hurt. Are you ready to murder, to kill, to sexually harass your victims?
I don't know about the sexual harassment part, but the other three, yes!
What do you mean?
I'm not that kind of person.
You will! In time! The city does things to you that you don't realize. It made me the man I am today. A good man. As some would say, a bad man. A bat man. So, are you ready for your rest lesson?
Yes!
It's a very important lesson.
Yes, sir!
Let's do it. Robin, your first lesson is this trampoline.
What am I supposed to do?
Hop. The lesson of this is to always be vigilant. Always be prepared to jump from rooftops to rooftops to fight the enemies. And cardio. Always about cardio.
Oh, yes, I can feel it!
Are you feeling it now, Robin?
I feel it!
Are you feeling?
I can feel it!
You can feel it?
I can feel it!
Can you feel it?
I can feel
You
it!
can feel it?
I can feel
Can
it!
you feel it?
I can feel it in my legs! In my glutes!
Can you feel it in your nipples?
Oh, my God!
What are you doing?
I thought I was driving!
You ain't fucking driving. It's my car, my rules, bitch.
Okay, jeez!
Who the fuck you think you are?
All right.
On the other side. God damn it. Oh, shit. What the fuck you doing?
You said to get it on the other side!
The other side of the back, retard.
Okay, fine, jeez!
Robin the retard. The fuck is this?
It's supposed to do with your combat roll!
Fucking kid. I'm already regretting this decision. Is this fun, Robin?
Yes, sir! It is, sir!
It used to be fun for me too.
Same for me, sir!
What's wrong with you?
I used to do it with my dad!
Me too.
Give me a battery.
Oh, wait.
Thank you.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about the Christopher Nolan trilogy, the masterpiece, the gods that have produced this greatness. Ain't that right? But today, as you can see, we have my hetero life mate, Mr. Shanae, on today because he loves this trilogy so much that he would fuck it. So
that's not true.
Oh, well, I stand corrected. If the Christopher Nolan trilogy was a woman, he would make passionate love to her.
Oh,
see,
maybe, I don't know.
All right,
hard debate.
It's a hard debate. So we just watched Batman Begins. It's been like what, 10 years? Yeah, it's been about 10 years since I've seen it. I don't know how long it's been since you've seen it, but this is almost like a first time watch for me because it's been so long. I'm like, wow, I've kind of forgot a lot of things about this movie.
It's been a couple years, I'd say, maybe two or three.
Yeah, but before we get into it, I was just curious, what got you to watch this movie, like as a kid? Because we grew up around the time where this was our Batman. We grew up in this era. So, like, what made you want to watch this movie? Was it like your dad? Was it just past Batman love that made you want to watch this movie? Like, what was about Batman Begins that made you want to watch it?
I grew up in a family that wasn't super into superheroes, so I always kind of knew about it and had watched it, but it wasn't something pushed upon me. So I think I watched Batman Begins kind of randomly one time on like just TV. It was on and I threw it on. I was just like, oh, this is kind of cool. I think it came out 2005. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Came out 2005, yeah.
I feel like I watched parts of this in like 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
When I was 7 years old. Because I'm guessing Dark Knight came out in 2008.
Came out in 2009. Came out in 2009.
Okay. So I think I had watched this for the first time when I was 7. Just kind of randomly. And it kind of came on. I'd say this was my first or second exposure to superhero movies in general. Batman Begins. That, and then I feel like Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
This is my first 2 superhero movies growing up.
So I would say Christopher Nolan's Batman is the only exposure of Batman you've ever had. Like, you've never seen Michael Keaton's origins, or you've never, like...
I had always seen little clips of it, but I never actually sat down and watched all of the other Batmans. I think the only one that I've actively watched is a few of the cartoons, and then the Nipple Batman. I forget which one that is. But
Batman and Robin. Yeah.
Batman and Robin. I had seen that one. I think
Mr.
you
Nipple
forced me
George
to watch
Clooney.
that one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nipple George Clooney. But, no, so I'd say this is, for live action speaking, this is the main Batman I've exposed myself to.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Of course, I always grew up in a superhero family, so to me, I've always got introduced to that. But this actually wasn't my first introduction to Batman. My first introduction to Batman was Michael Keaton. I grew up mostly on Michael Keaton, and I remember I think it was like a year or two after Batman Begins came out. I found like my dad bought the DVD. I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I popped it in, and I was just like, "Oh, this is way different than Batman '89," and that whole thing. Because the Tim Burton movies, they're very gothic, very much like a gothic-centric comic book, where this is like realistic. I'm like, "Oh shit, this is something new that I never got to experience before." So,
yeah.
But coming off of you, let's just say, compared to how you watched this movie the first time versus now, where we live in a more comic book world. Again, this movie's like 17 years old, so definitely this is like, I would say, it's hard to say. This movie's 17 years old.
Yeah,
Jesus
that's
Christ.
really strange to think about. 17 years.
But this, I would say arguably this movie, if not this trilogy, definitely kicked off where we are today, superhero wise, like where we are with the Marvel universes and stuff. So I would say. So I'm curious your thoughts. This movie came out in 2005, and you watched it for the first time back in the day. Where would you say your feelings land on now? In the current world of superheroes, where does Batman Begins fall as is it still a classic, or is it kind of dated a little bit?
I still consider it a classic. I mean, on our rewatch this evening, I have a it's hard for me to put it back in perspective and realize that this movie came out 17 years ago because the quality of it is still so fresh and like lively, and it's action packed. I mean, it's beautifully shot. Like, I mean, it's very vivid with the colors.
You got to think this is prime Christopher Nolan. Like this was like
prime
after
Christopher Nolan.
Like this is after the Prestige. This is like he's already kind of somewhat made of a name of himself.
And I mean, I say vibrant with the colors. It is a dark movie, but like the darkness is vibrant, which is kind of stupid.
A lot of orange. I've noticed
orange hues, some yellows kind of pop up here and there. But honestly, that's the thing that's so weird to me watching this is realizing it came out so long ago. I think it holds up as far as superhero movies go. It's kind of in its the whole trilogy is in a league of its own as far as the type of superhero movie it is, with its more dark tone, especially compared to most Marvel movies today.
Yeah. Well, see, what I like mostly about Batman Begins versus, like, out of the trilogy, Batman Begins is my favorite. Mainly because I love that darkness to it, that, like, very, like, especially after watching this film, you can definitely tell, like, they were going for more of I wouldn't say a horror movie, but definitely like a dark thriller, something like a Seven vibe. They were going for a Seven with Batman kind of vibe, which the Matt Reeves movie looks like he's going more towards that route, the more horror, more darker route with the Riddler. But that's why I like this one, because the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises, they kind of have like a cleanness to them, kind of. I mean, the Dark Knight kind of does, but doesn't. Has kind of like
Dark Knight, I'd say it's closer to the darkness that you're talking about. I think it's more. I feel like the Dark Knight compared to this one is more rooted in reality, where this one kind of starts to teeter with that like almost fantasy more. But I'm with you in the sense that like I have an appreciation for this movie, especially compared to newer Marvel content, newer DC content, where it does kind of feel like a horror movie in its own right. It's by no means horror genre, but Scarecrow is kind of a scary villain as far as he's.
Well, especially when he puts the toxins back on himself. The Batman, like that probably fucked up some kids back in 2005. Like that probably gave kids nightmares.
I mean, I'll admit, like that probably fucked me up myself. But you know, that's a scary villain right there. You know, you have Ra's al Ghul and his kind of like fucking ninja squad that you're getting to witness. You know, there is this element of like horror going on where an entire city is being poisoned and like prompted to kill each other. which,
Yeah.
that's not a normal thing you see in superhero movies, especially compared to what we're seeing today.
Yeah.
It's kind of revolutionary in that sense. Like this is so long ago. This was the first kind of big superhero movie of our generation.
Yeah.
Besides probably, I think Spider-Man 1 and 2 came out before it, correct?
Yeah, Spider-Man 1 came out in 2002, and then Spider-Man 2 came out in 2004, a year before Batman Begins. So
I was gonna say, I had a feeling both Spider-Mans came out first, but besides those two, this is one of the earliest big name superhero movies.
They weren't scared to go there. They weren't scared to push that envelope of let's get dark, let's get dirty,
Yeah. I mean, we'll save it for a whole conversation about In the Dark Knight, but
yeah.
Like I said with that one's much more rooted in reality, and I think a great example of that is it's the part where Joker has given the two boats the control to blow each other up. That is a very real situation that only someone as fucked up as Joker could think of. So that's something. It's scary in its own right, more of a thriller. Where this one has almost some horror element to it, which is
I mean, Scarecrow is on a fire-breathing horse at the end there.
What the fuck was that? I totally forgot he comes riding in on a horse. That's a shocker.
That is actually an Easter egg to the comic Batman Dark Victory, where in that comic he actually had a fire-breathing horse.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that, but that's very cool.
Yeah, well, because when we rewatched it, I was like, "Why does that look so familiar?" So I looked it up, and it's actually like a comic panel in the comic Dark Victory. I'm like, "Oh shit, that's where I recognized it from. It's from Dark Victory." I was like, "Damn!" And there was actually surprisingly a lot of Easter eggs in this movie that I picked up. Like another Easter egg I picked up was in the comic Batman Year One, Commissioner Gordon did have a partner who was corrupt, who was kind of doing it for the wrong reasons, and I noticed that they took that element from Batman Year One and put it in Batman Begins. I was like, so they're actually taking from the comics. They're not just doing their own thing. They're actually pulling from the source materials. So, and of course, cool. Victor Zsasz, I pointed that one out. Victor Zsasz is
that's pretty cool. I did not know that. Yeah,
which I'm curious because at the end of this movie, again, we have to watch Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, but I remember at the end of Batman Begins, they left off to where Scarecrow's out there still. Victor Crane is still doing his thing, and some inmates. I don't know if we ever saw him again. I can't remember, but
I'm 90% sure he comes back.
I think in Dark Knight Rises.
He comes back for sure in Dark Knight Rises. I feel like he even makes an appearance in Dark Knight at some point, but I believe he plays the judge in the Dark Knight Rises of their new court system they create, where it's death or punishment. Or I forgot the exact line it says, but yes, he is still alive and on the loose, causing mayhem.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have your list or not, but just give us a quick rundown of your positives, and then maybe if you have any negatives or not, because I'm curious where you land.
Honestly, in general, my positives just it's a fun movie to watch. It's action packed. I feel like in general the pacing is good. I don't feel like I'm too bored for a 2.5 hour movie almost. Yeah. Is that you can kind of start to teeter that line pretty quickly in this long of a movie, is where it's all right, here we go, we're dragging this out a little longer.
Yeah.
I mean, the first scene where Batman comes into play and he pulls him through the car, he says, "I'm Batman." That's that's awesome. Epic scene. It's that's what I want from Batman. I want to be slightly afraid of Batman. That's the type of superhero he is.
That's why I love Batman Begins specifically because of that. They make him darker in this one, where he's staying in the shadows. You don't hear his voice as much. It's I love that with Batman. I like that, just seeing him in the shadows and shit.
Yeah, and I like Scarecrow as a villain. I think he's scary. He truly is a scary villain.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really love almost everything about this movie. I think we both talked about it when we were watching it, but my one kind of negative, I would say, was the intro felt really abrupt and sudden. You go from Bruce as a young kid, falls through the well, lands with the bats, and then all of a sudden he's in prison. He's in prison. He's picking fights, and you're just kind of oh, shoot. Why is he there? And as a
Yeah.
Batman fan who hasn't watched this movie in 3 years, you're kind of left like, wait, why is he there?
Yeah.
He's not Batman yet. Like, he doesn't become Batman until after he meets with the League of
So why is
Shadows.
he
But
in the
like,
prison?
why is he in the prison? And they kind of explain it within the first 30-ish minutes, but
Yeah.
there is that sort of abruptness to that intro where you're just kind of left like, well, I don't know. It left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. But after that first 15, 20 minutes, it's such a fun movie. Everything about it, I love it.
Yeah. For me, I don't know, because I have a kind of a weird laundry list. So, like, yeah, I agree with the opening was a little abrupt, but for me, I've always felt this way ever since I've watched Batman Begins. For me, the movie doesn't necessarily find itself until around the 40-minute mark, where it's just like, because the first 40 minutes is very much let's tell Bruce's origins every now and then let's, establish the whole Ra's al Ghul thing, and then like, oh, we gotta show Bruce coming back into his millionaire and his, enterprise and stuff. So it's like there's a lot going on. So then after the 40-minute mark, when he becomes Batman, everything's straight, and I feel like that's when the movie kind of finds itself. Because then from then on, it's very much just a smooth ride. Like, it's just very much a let's get to the nitty gritty of this movie.
There's a lot of world building that has to get done with this, especially for it being at the time a one-off. Like, here's Batman, like so there's definitely some world building they have to get through in that first 40 minutes. But
so like, and it's not bad. It feels like two separate movies. Like, the first 40 minutes is his own movie, and then the rest is an actual Batman movie.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I'm like, I've always had that issue with Batman Begins. There's the opening, it feels abrupt, and then the first 40 minutes. And then for me, and again, this is a kind of a me thing. Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, I love. But then there are some scenes as Batman that I'm like, I don't know about that. Again, it could be the voice. I've just never liked Christian Bale's voice. I just never liked that throat cancer voice he's got going on.
I like it in some scenes, and I don't like it in others. I think the scene in this movie, we're going to focus on this movie, but a scene that I hate his voice is when he tells Rachel the quote from their, like, from earlier in the movie.
It's not who I am, it defines what I do.
His voice in that scene specifically just sounds like a teenager trying to do a Batman impression.
Yeah.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
Just a little bit higher than it probably should be, like when he is in his full I'm Batman mode, like that's pretty cool. Like, I fuck with that, but there's some moments where like the voice slips up just a little bit and he just sounds like
especially there at the end when he was fighting Ra's al Ghul on the train, like his voice was just like, I'm gonna fight it. He's like, huh?
Yeah. Do you have anything new? How about this?
What did he just say?
It has its moments, and I really appreciate it, but I agree with you that it also has its moments where it's a little corny.
Yeah.
It can get corny quickly, but other than that, I don't know. I've always been a big Christian Bale fan as far as his acting career, but also just him as Batman. I think he's very much his own version of Batman, which I appreciate. I want superheroes, especially when there's these repeats of superheroes, like be your own version. Don't try and copy the other ones. Do your own thing. Do your own thing.
That's the thing. Like, everybody shits on Ben Affleck's Batman. That's my personal favorite Batman. But the one thing I think they did with him is Ben Affleck admitted he couldn't do a Batman voice, so they gave him a voice modulator. And I felt like, I don't know necessarily Christian Bale should have got a voice modulator, but he definitely should have gotten some type of like audio done to his voice to maybe make it a little more like darker, a little more like rugged, maybe. Because like I said, there are scenes where he's like, hey. But it was 2005. I don't know if they can necessarily do.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like that specifically is where the movie gets aged. But I'm also looking at it, and like I said with The Dark Knight, this movie and this whole trilogy is very much rooted in reality, and it's very less like, it's not super futuristic to like an unattainable level. It's very like, it's it's 2005 and we're in Chicago, Pennsylvania, New York. Kind of. I know that Arkham and
Yeah,
Gotham are
Gotham.
kind of. They're all kind of based off of
Detroit.
those three
Yeah.
cities in their own way. So
Yeah.
it's that's sort of why I don't mind that they didn't change his voice, but I can agree that like his voice can get a little corny sometimes.
Well, speaking of Gotham, I will say I actually prefer the look of Gotham in this movie than I do the whole trilogy. Just because it does have that nasty, rugged to it. You got smoke constantly coming out of the city. It just constantly looks like hell. Like it just looks like hell to live in.
Yeah.
Where in the Dark
think-
Knight and Rises, I understand they kind of got rid of the criminals, so
That's
it
what I was
doesn't
gonna
necessarily
say.
need to be that disgusting.
In the next two movies, it's like that was already after he's been around for a few years and he's like started to clean up the streets a bit. So I understand that the world's getting cleaner.
Yeah.
I sort of wish that the Dark Knight was a little bit grungier. I think it could use that. That's another. That would be one of my complaints of Dark Knight.
Yeah.
The visuals are almost too clean in that movie at times, but I'm with you that's one of the things I love about this movie is they really make Gotham look gross,
especially when it's like
dingy
raining.
and
Make it look even like grungier.
I forget what that part of the town is. I think they refer to it as the Narrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The Narrow, like that's such a gross area to be living in, and like it's. I think they do that so perfectly.
Yeah, well, that's something I think also the Rocksteady Batman games took inspiration from was from Batman Begins, where in Arkham City they made Arkham City look like how it did in Batman Begins, where it's very nasty, very rugged, and basically almost abandoned, kind of. So you can definitely see the inspiration this movie, if not the whole trilogy, had on Batman going forward, whether it was in video games, comics, movies. You can definitely see the inspiration that had on it. Another thing I also do love is the suit. This right here. I love this suit. I love the Batman Begins suit out of all the suits. I think it looks like the best to me. Because, I don't know, I just look like... I love the... It looks like a Batman suit, but it's also like... It's a very tactical suit. Where the Dark Knight suit and the Rises suit, it had too much like... Not necessarily say padding, but it had like way too much like armor. Where this, you can definitely tell it's just a suit. It's not like this big hulky armor suit. I don't know if that's just me, but I always thought I like this suit better, the Batman Begins suit.
Can get that. I like this suit a lot. I've never been super into the lore behind his suits, but I have an appreciation for every Batman suit in its own right. But this suit's definitely one of the cool ones.
And then, of course, the tumbler, which that to me I think is probably the coolest Batman car.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a toss
it's up there.
It's a toss up.
I mean, the
one
from
really like Robert Pattinson's the Batman car. Yeah, now, so
that one's gonna be cool. If I think that one could take the #1 spot if the stunts are cool with it.
Yeah.
If they do some cool stunts, it could take the #1 spot because I am a little bit of a car guy. I do like myself some muscle cars. What's the one? It's the one with like the black and red from the like.
Oh, the Adam West.
50s Adam West ones. That one I will always kind of have an appreciation for, just because that was the other like one of my other first experiences with Batman was the Adam West version.
Yeah.
So I'll always love that like black and red Batmobile. Like
I have an appreciation for it.
Yeah, I have an appreciation for it. The tumbler, it's hard to beat though. Like especially when the motorcycle comes out, you're just like, oh fuck, what's going on here? Like
I forgot how badass the tumbler was until I watched this movie. And the fucking tumbler just jumping over fucking buildings and shit. It's like, god damn.
Once again, like I say this every time I watch this movie, but I forget how good this movie is every time I come back to it. Like it's one of those ones where every time I've come back to it, I'm like, this is such a great movie. Like just a superhero besides villainous, like this is a very great movie. And I don't have too many complaints about it. Other than, like we said, the intro is a little abrupt, but like it's such a fun movie. It's action packed. It's got its moments where it's a little bit funny. Like I mean, you're both laughing at the bat signal where he puts Falcone on the
which I thought was fucking smart. Like that was a really
cool
idea
smart.
To introduce the bat signal that way.
That was a really unique way to introduce that, like you said. It made us both laugh, and well,
to me, as much as like as much as everybody loves The Dark Knight, and I will agree, we'll get to it when we get to The Dark Knight. I do love The Dark Knight. I feel like The Batman Begins is kind of underappreciated. Like everybody, when they talk about this trilogy, they always go to The Dark Knight, and it's like there's some great shit in Batman Begins that gets really overlooked. like just little things like that, like the whole how they figured out the bat signal, how he got his suit, hell, even the relationship between the police and Batman, where it's just like slowly but surely, like Jim Gordon immediately starts trusting Batman. Like he has no doubt. He's like, he automatically starts trusting him. And it's like, there's so many great things in Batman Begins that gets overlooked, but because The Dark Knight was the next movie, let's just jump to that. And it's like, Dark Knight is great, but Batman Begins is always going to be good to me. It's always going to be better. So that's just me.
I do agree with you that this movie gets kind of overshadowed at times, but I also can understand why it gets overshadowed, and that is partially because of how great The Dark Knight is, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I agree with you. Just in general, like as superhero movies go as a whole, I think Batman Begins really does kind of get overshadowed sometimes, and it's underappreciated. I definitely put it in the upper areas of, like, if I was going to do a top to 10 to 20 like superhero movies, it would still probably be in my top 10 to top 15 of all superhero movies, and it would beat out a lot of the newer ones that have come out,
we should definitely do a Batman movie ranking when the new Batman movie comes out.
Yeah, that would be a good video for you to do, ranking all the Batmans for you. But I still personally would lean towards The Dark Knight being my favorite and the best one, but I do have a high appreciation for this movie and what it brought to the superhero scene.
Yeah. Well, I also love too is Batman. The other two ones, two Michael Keaton ones. Batman '89 specifically went into this more. Batman Returns didn't. I love the dynamic between Alfred and Bruce. You can definitely tell the love there. You can see the appreciation Alfred has for Bruce and how he's always like taking care of him. Even that scene in the elevator when the mansion gets burned down because of the League of Shadows, and he's just like, "You haven't abandoned me yet," and he's like, "I never will, sir." And it's like just that fatherly figure Alfred's always had for Bruce. I've always loved. I love how they put that to the big screen. How they definitely adapted that pretty good. I always love that.
I also. This movie specifically and The Dark Knight, I think you really see it highlighted, but I love the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Lucius.
Yeah, I was about to get to Lucius.
I was going to say, those, besides Alfred and Bruce, I think Lucius and Bruce is my other like favorite relationship in this whole series. Is just the little lines that go between them. They're so funny, quick, and easy. They're, I feel like they've got a good rapport with each other and good banter. And
that's the thing. I don't really think I'd have to rewatch Batman Forever and Robin, which I don't think you've gotten Lucius Fox ever in a Batman movie. So I think this was the first time we ever had Lucius Fox. And plus, you don't even get him in the Ben Affleck version either.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say, I don't think you do, because in the Ben Affleck one, they don't really highlight that side of Bruce Wayne.
Well, the Ben Affleck one, from what I remember, is he makes him and Alfred. Actually, Alfred makes his stuff. He's the one who makes all his gauntlets and all his tech and stuff. But then the Batman '89 one, he makes his own stuff. I don't remember Forever. I want to say Alfred makes his own stuff too. So I want to say this is the first time you got Lucius Fox on the big screen. I'm curious to see if in the Batman if they're going to incorporate Lucius Fox or not, or try to do something with that.
Or just a character like Lucius Fox, even, just another kind of outside figure involved with the Batman. And
well, that was something we brought up too. I'm curious if in the Batman, if they're going to bring any type of like League of Shadows in there, Ra's al Ghul, like if Ra's al Ghul taught him like he did in this movie, or if it's just going to be purely he taught himself to fight.
I'm definitely curious about that myself. Just from what
I've heard it's Alfred. That's from what I've heard. Alfred taught him. But
that would make the most sense. I'm still curious to see how they're going to go about, because this isn't year one Batman.
This is year two.
It's a couple year two. Year two. He's in it. So like, how did he get trained? How did he start? Like, how are they going to introduce that without, making this an origin story? It's not an origin.
One thing I do love about this movie too that I didn't realize is the action scenes. Like they're very the choreography is very on point. There's some good action scenes in today's superheroes, like especially in Daredevil, which you were just watching. Like there's some great action sequences in Daredevil. But like, you gotta think this was 17 years ago. This was like, you don't get that kind of actions. So to get
Once
like
again,
hand to hand
that
combat,
is- Yeah, that's another area where this movie really shines. Is its action sequences feel real to a certain degree. Like, he doesn't seem overpowered.
yeah,
Like he seems like a man with good skill and some gadgets.
yeah.
The hand-to-hand combat's good. The movement of the camera is fast enough where like it makes you feel in
But
there
it's
and
not
in the
shaky
moment,
cam.
and it's not like shaky. It's clean, it's clear. So it's once again really impressive that this movie came out 17 years ago with the quality of the performances between all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, it just, if anything, this definitely, I don't know. It's hard to say that this is definitely a superhero movie that the comic book genre took most of its cues from, but I can definitely see the inspiration that this movie had. Like, definitely, I can
Yeah.
definitely see the impact. Because even still to this day, like, even if you look at Robert Pattinson's The Batman, you can see Matt Reeves' inspiration on this movie and this trilogy, because you see a lot of like, oh yeah, that was in Christopher Nolan's trilogy. That's an aspect that was taken from Christopher Nolan's trilogy. So it's like, to see that this movie is 17 years old and still being not necessarily copied, but basically a lot of people are still inspired by this movie 17 years later, just shows you how big this movie really was at the time. Which,
Yeah.
I'm really surprised this didn't get like an Oscar nom or any type of like recommendation at the Academy, because which I get, it was 2005. Superhero movies didn't get any recognition, but
Yeah, I was gonna say that this one, as graded as it was, it was still too early for anything along like Oscar nomination wise. No.
which I forgot about the Batman theme. How fucking like excited that gets you when you hear the dun dun. You're like, you're like, fuck yeah, let's get in there, baby. But
Yeah.
I guess if anything, one thing about this movie, and every Batman movie I've rewatched, I find it hilarious. Nobody bitches about it until we get to the Ben Affleck version. Every iteration of Batman we've had, whether it's the Michael Keaton, Christopher Nolan, Ben Affleck, he always kills. He always kills somebody. He always kills somebody. Like Batman 89, he flamethrows a dude. You haven't seen it, but he lights a dude on fire. He blows up an entire Ace Chemicals with like 70 people in it. But Ben Affleck did it once, and oh my god, he's killing people. Yeah. It's like Christopher Nolan did it too. I don't know what y'all are complaining about.
I'll be honest. I have never been on the side of the Batman fan base to care if he kills people or not.
I don't either. No.
I think as a moral superhero, he definitely tries his best not to kill people. I support him for that, and I'm proud of him for that. But I'm also at the same time, if he kills somebody, I don't care. He's still Batman. He's still doing the majority of good things in the world. It's for the most part, if he's gonna kill somebody, like in this movie, he kills Ra's al Ghul. He leaves him on the train to crash and burn. So I mean, it's at the end of the day, like.
And then in the Dark Knight, he kills Two-Face.
Yeah, basically. So it's. I don't care if he. I think if he's just killing random citizens or like random criminals, it's like, okay, well, watch out here. But he killed Two-Face and he killed Ra's al Ghul. Like, those are probably two of the worst people in the Batman universe of Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
I can live with the fact that he killed them. I can live with that.
Yeah. I get you on that one. Trying to think too. Did he kill in Dark Knight Rises? Did he kill Talia?
Oh, she crashes kind of herself.
Oh, does she? Okay. Actually, I don't remember Dark Knight Rises once. I watched it once, and I haven't watched it since. So
I'm excited for you to rewatch that, because I enjoy that movie a decent amount. It's definitely not nearly as good as the first two, but it's still a good movie. Yeah. I'm trying to remember how Bane dies, because he definitely dies. I just don't remember. No, Talia doesn't kill him.
I know he gets stabbed. I do remember he gets like stabbed in the back or like the front or something.
There's a chance that Batman killed him. And I'm trying to remember how he dies, because Talia dies while driving the truck.
Yeah.
And then Bane. I think Bane gets. Oh, I might be wrong for this. I can't remember. I'm not going to make a claim. I'm not going to say it, but I know he dies. I can't remember how he dies though.
And yeah, I don't remember either. Like I said, for all I know, he could have killed Bane too. So
I know that's the thing. That's why I made the comment. Like I'm sad that I don't remember, but there is a chance that he killed Bane, which means he's killed one villain per movie, roughly. So
now, would you say that this is your favorite iteration of Batman?
the Christopher Nolan Batman, yeah, I probably would. I'd say that this one's really high up there for me. I will, like I said, I'll always have an appreciation for the Adam West one just because I watched that when I was a kid and it always made me laugh. I'll always make jokes about shark repellent and half the people won't know what I'm talking about. But,
Yeah.
there's every once in a while I get that one person who's like, yeah, shark repellent. I know what you're talking about. They know exactly, they know the scene. They know exactly what I'm talking about. But I think as far as like other Batman content, I always forget the one. It was the one where I think you and I watched it together. Killing Joke.
Oh, the Killing
Is that
Joke.
what it is?
Yeah, Kevin
Yeah, I
Conroy.
really like. Yeah, I like that Batman version as well. My friend finally convinced me to watch that this recent summer or last spring, and I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin Conroy, he's the voice of Batman in all like the animated projects and even the
Yeah.
Rocksteady games. So like the voice of Batman to me definitely is Kevin Conroy. Every time I read a comic book, I just think of Kevin Conroy's voice
Yeah.
in the pages. Trying to think of is there anything else of this movie you could think of that you want to get your thoughts on? If there's any nostalgia as a kid you remember, like whether it's Batman toys or like anything you remember from your childhood about this movie.
Honestly, just it was just always a movie I had fun watching. I was always a big Star Wars nerd, as you know, but it, as far as superhero movies, this was my only superhero movie for a long time. This
It was
movie
like your
as well as
gateway.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It was my gateway, and it was kind of the only one because I didn't. After watching the original Spider-Man, I didn't watch Spider-Man 2 till like almost 2010, 2011, I want to
really?
say. Yeah, like I didn't watch the other ones till way later, and I just never owned them on DVD, and this was before streaming was really around, so it was like the only time I really watched Spider-Man was when I was over at a friend's place. So Batman was one that my parents had purchased, and I had access to it, so I'd watch that one all the time if I wasn't watching any of the other movies I was really into at that age. But no, just for me, this movie was this was my superhero movie for a long time. This Dark Knight, and then eventually Dark Knight Rises. But before all the Marvel movies really kicked off into their world, like this was the one superhero movie I was watching. So I'll always hold this whole trilogy in a special place in my heart.
Yeah, definitely as a kid, my two trilogies were the Dark Knight trilogy and the Spider-Man trilogy. Those are the two that I definitely grew up. I leaned more towards the Spider-Man trilogy for sure, but but I remember when Batman Begins, especially when the Dark Knight was coming out, all the toys and there was Joker toys everywhere. You constantly saw Joker toys. Of course, when Batman Begins came out, I remember like this Batman toy here and the tumbler. I even remember the PS2 Batman Begins video game. That shit was hard. That's one of the hardest games I've ever played as a kid was that one. So I'm like, I remember the Batman craze in that, which we're kind of getting again with the Robert Pattinson's The Batman, because you go to the store and you just see Batman everywhere. We're getting like a Batman craze again.
Sorry to interrupt you, but there's also the Batman pizza at Little Caesars.
Little Caesars. Which I was thinking about buying that. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm honestly, when we get to the point where it's out, I might go buy one.
They're also handing out little posters as well to go with it. So I'm like, shit, I want those little posters.
That's pretty cool. I gotta say.
Because like I go to Walmart and I see all these fucking like RC car Batman cars and like all this shit. I'm like, I want it. I want it for my little.
Man.
Hell, I even have the little Lego Batman shit over there, like little Lego.
I was joking with you and saying I'm too old for that now, I guess at this point. But it's kind of cool to see that it's growing in popularity again. It's a new generation of people that are going to be watching Batman for the first time. Yeah,
and I hope to have you on for the Batman for sure, because I mean, I feel like there's going to be a lot to talk about in the Batman.
Yeah, it's
for sure.
I'm excited for it. It could be really hit or miss, but I feel like it's going to be a hit. So we'll see.
I feel like it's going to be my personal favorite Batman. Like, as much as I love Ben Affleck's Batman, that's going to be one of my favorites for sure. To me, just the trailer just has everything I want. Like whether it's the tone, the vibe, the darkness, the grittiness. Hell, even Robert Pattinson's Batman looks awesome. Just has everything I want in a Batman movie. For me personally.
Yeah. No, I'm with you though. I think this movie has a lot of potential to put itself right up there with the Christopher Nolan trilogy. You know, I think if everything they're showing us is going to happen and kind of just nails all those notes that we've been talking about, like it puts itself right up there, you know. If they continue, if they make it into their own trilogy, I could definitely see it surpassing Christopher Nolan's. I think this movie, if it's just a standalone movie, probably won't surpass Christopher Nolan for me personally.
Yeah.
Unless it's just absolutely incredible, which isn't out of the question, you know. I mean, Robert Pattinson's an incredible actor, and those who have only seen him in Twilight obviously haven't looked into him further, but
I saw him fuck a mermaid in the lighthouse.
yeah, we don't talk about that version though. We don't talk about Robert Pattinson in the lighthouse. That's a separate timeline, as we like to go in the Marvel.
I saw Batman and Ariel fuck. So
you had to say that right as I take a sip of water too.
Yeah.
No, we don't talk about that movie. No,
I am curious because Christopher Nolan produced Man of Steel, which is a Zack Snyder movie, and Christopher Nolan to this day says that if he had the opportunity, he would take Henry Cavill's Superman and make him the canon Superman in Christian Bale's Batman universe. Would you see that being like? Can you see Henry Cavill's Superman being in the same world as Christopher Nolan's Batman?
yes and no.
Yeah,
And I say that because one of the issues that I see with that happening is literally just, I've said it a couple times, this Christopher Nolan trilogy is really rooted in reality and doesn't really have any supernatural elements to it.
yeah,
I think as far as the world and like the coloring and like how the world is built, I think he fits. I think that would be totally fine. I think what the Christopher Nolan trilogy did so well in this movie, especially Batman Begins, is it feels real, you know. It feels like this isn't just a superhero movie. Or when you're watching Superman, it's a superhero movie, and you know that. Where Batman in this specific setting, it feels like if I was in New York and I would be a little worried walking down an alleyway, like if fucking Batman's gonna come get my ass, you know, like. So like, there's this sense of reality that I get with this movie that I don't get with many other superhero movies. But I could see it working based on just tone and setting, but there's this part of me that doesn't ever want it to happen.
Yeah,
it's just a personal preference, but
I only said that because I unironically wore a Superman shirt for our Batman reviews. So.
I got you.
Which was not.
We all know you like Superman better. It's okay. You can admit it.
Yeah, mainly just Henry Cavill's Superman, but yeah, I like Superman. So, but I think that's everything we got to gush about Batman Begins. This movie's underrated in the trilogy of that it set it up for sure, and I don't know, it still blows my mind every time I think about it. I'm like 17 years ago, God. And Dark Knight's what, fucking 16, 15? I don't know how old Dark Knight is. 15-ish. Yeah. And then 15, Dark Knight Rises is now 10 years old because that came out in 2012. So that's 10 years old.
That's weird.
Like, damn.
I like what you said though. This movie is underrated in the trilogy as well as underrated in the superhero lore in general.
Yeah, because like when you think of Batman, you automatically go to Dark Knight or Batman '89. It's like Batman Begins. Throw that in the pot, you know.
It deserves a spot up there, you know.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, just it's a very good movie. So you let you guys be known down below what you think of this movie. Do you love this movie? Do you hate this movie? Let it be known down below. Thank you, Shanae. Thank you, Shanae, for being on, and I think you definitely will be on for the Dark Knight for sure. If not, we might have another special guest for sure on for the Dark Knight.
We gotta do the trio for it. We gotta do all three. I think it'll be way more fun.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you for coming on. Appreciate it, and I'll see all you people into the God movie, the Dark Knight, the Dork Knight, the Dork Knight. So thanks for being on. Bye.